40-some interceptions, and 65 field goal times. Something needs to be done. Am I right, Doug? Again, thank you for the award. I appreciate it. And good luck to you. Thank you very much.
Before I introduce our last honoree, I just wanted to ask if all the honorees would stay afterwards because we want to take some group pictures here up front. When Jackie Robinson integrated Major League Baseball in 1947, Black Americans felt so connected to him that when he exhaled, they collectively inhaled. As Maya Angelou recounted so beautifully in I Know How the Caged Bird Sings, when Joe Louis boxed, the state of Black America rose with every numbing punch he delivered and deflated with every blow he absorbed. Few athletes have carried the hopes and fears of this nation's Black community as Louis and Robinson did. But for one day, January 31st, 1988, our next honoree, Doug Williams, achieved that status. That day, as the first Black quarterback to play in the Super Bowl, Williams overcame illness, injury, and a legacy of skepticism about Black quarterbacks' intelligence to lead Washington to a 42-10 victory in Super Bowl 22 against Denver. Tampa Bay took a supposedly bold step when it made Williams the first quarterback and the 17th pick overall in the 1978 NFL Draft. But how much risk was there in choosing a quarterback who, as a starter, carried Grambling State to a 35-5 record and 4 conference championships, threw for 8,411 yards and 93 touchdowns, and finished 4th in Heisman Trophy voting? Williams eventually led the Bucs to the NFL championship game, and after several seasons in the USFL, he returned to the NFL with the Redskins as Jay Schroeder's backup. Then Coach Joe Gibbs made him the starter in the 1987 season playoffs, and Williams justified that move with victories that took Washington into Super Bowl 22 against the favorite Broncos' John Elway. He had suddenly become our great Black hope, destined to shrug off the mostly white media struggling to grasp this new Black quarterback concept. A painful toothache that required a root canal on Super Bowl Eve, and a twisted knee in the first quarter of the game that threatened to bench him. But he missed only one play, destroyed the Broncos with 228 passing yards and 4 touchdown passes in the second quarter alone, and was named Super Bowl MVP. His performance gave Black people so much pride that Coach Robinson tearfully called it, quote unquote, a Joe Louis match-smelling moment. No one knew at the time that Robinson's legacy would become Williams' next mountain to climb. After an injury ended his playing career 1 year later, Williams ventured into coaching. I'm proud to say that my own Morehouse College gave him his first head coaching opportunity in 1997, and then we lost him to Grambling State. Who could possibly replace someone like Robinson, who coached for 57 years and a record 408 victories at one college? Yet, Williams accepted that challenge, determined to treat Robinson's shadow with great respect, but not with undue deference. He arrived to change the Grambling uniforms, early Sports Task Force member Thomas George wrote in 2001. He changed the offense from the long-time single wing and wing tee that Robinson used to a multiple pro set. He initially had players run at 5 a.m. He cut 31 his first season. Some resisted change, even among the Grambling players. But like Robinson throughout the years at Grambling, guess who won out? Williams did, of course. Williams' teams got progressively better, from a 5-6 record to 7-4 to 10-2 to a 7-1 start in 2001. At that point, he said, last year was the season where the rope was broken on the eras, and I think the fans now understand that this is the Doug Williams era, while appreciating the Coach Rob era. In 6 seasons at Grambling, Williams' teams were an exceptional 52-18. Then he returned to the Bucs in their professional scouting department, and now is their director of pro scouting. If he's lucky, some year he'll find a player who is his mirror image and just as talented. Doug Williams, please come up for your final.
Thank you. Williams has always been last. I tell you, this is a very, very humbling experience. You know, when you talk about the media, and especially when you talk about the NABJ, you know, I saw Michael Wilborn walk in the door. I knew Mike when I was up in Washington. David Squires was here 31 years ago when I was a rookie in Tampa. I had the pleasure of playing with Leroy Selma for 5 years, and he's the one that took it to that, and me being a part of that first playoff game. That's a great, great feeling. Jim Dent, one of my teammates, Jimmy Giles, and Jim Dent has been on the golf course an awful lot. Sitting here looking at Ken Riley, I do agree with Ken Riley, and 65 interceptions is a lot of interceptions. And I'm glad to say he didn't have one of mine. But there's no reason why he shouldn't be there. And my community relation lady tonight wouldn't let me come out without coming. That's Murray Holmes. We talk about Pioneer, we talk about First. She just happened to be the community relation lady at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And it's always good to have somebody of color who's in the community and doing the things that she does with all the players. She worked with Leroy, she worked with me and all the guys, and that's a great feeling. One of the things I want to say, where's Michael Wilborn? I just want to know why I hadn't seen Miss Marissa on PTI. You know, when you talk about a swimmer of color, that says a lot. You know, and I want to commend you for all the accomplishments that you've had in your lifetime. But I just want to say, when you talk about SamLacy, I didn't really know Sam, but I knew somebody who really knew Sam. College J. Nicholson, who was the sports information director at Grambling for so many years, doing Coach Robinson and Craig Jones days, knew Sam because we traveled a lot as a football team, and anytime we traveled, College J made sure all the black newspapers knew he was coming. And just reading up on some things that Sam today and thought about how he protected Jackie Robinson and how the Dodgers was able to build Vero Beach to make sure that their black ball players stayed with the white ball players, and how he convinced San Francisco Giants that they should do the same thing. And to me, I tell you, that's a man of change. He get things done. And when I think about Sam after I read it, the guy that came to mind to me was a guy by the name of Eddie Robinson. And for somebody that lived that long and was born that long ago, you can imagine some of the things that they had to go through in order to get things done. And Sam did that. I was reading about they wouldn't let him go to the press box, so he got on top of the dugout. And some of the white writers who had laid out in the sun all day and got tan got up there with him. You know, whatever reason that was for. But the idea that he got his job done no matter what the circumstances was. And 31 years ago, coming to Tampa Bay, and I often think about it, and I always say that it's hard to go any deeper south. And I was here. A lot of things happened, but it could have been a lot worse because I grew up in Louisiana and I saw a lot of things. You know, I was 10 and 12 years old during the civil rights era when burning crosses and crossroads was the thing that they did every Friday night in my hometown. So I understood what it was all about. I was the first African-American player in Baton Rouge to play in the American Legion. So when you think about pioneers, I certainly think that I played a part, but the major part of my life, when you talk about pioneers and the things I've done, I have to think about the Ezra Dickies of the world, the Marlon Briscoes of the world, the James Harrises of the world, Joe Gilliam and the Willie Thors and Fitz Pollocks. And so many people who paved the way and opened the doors for myself. I think about the late John McKay, you know, who went out on the line and said, hey, this is who we want as our quarterback. I think about Joe Gibbs when nobody else